everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at the Warhammer Underworlds 2-player starter set, which was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy by Games Workshop and contains 2 classic first edition warbands for Warhammer Underworlds. Now, I'll be honest, I got way too excited about the Headman's Curse, the new box set, and I digested those cards this week when this arrived. I haven't digested the card sets from this yet. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about the actual starter set itself, what it means, and what it looks like the role this is going to play in Warhammer Underworlds going forward. Because this is a classic OG starter set with the actual Shadespire tiles from the original release in them. So if you were missing out on Season 1 and you were looking for it elsewhere, they are in this box. I love these city tiles. So these classic sort of like underground city of the Archiphanes, I can't remember what they're called. They're basically a death city that was trapped in glass, timeless glass, and the people wandering in it are wandering in like an endless maze, basically like death and rebirth. Beautiful tiles, some of the nicest tiles I think they ever made. And like, what I really hope is they release the physical ones of these two. There was an objective box and like a scenery box that came out originally too that had like these big crystals you could put on this. I hope that comes back. But with a modern rulebook and modern tokens, and because this is set aside and set apart from, it seems like, the season-driven warband stuff, this looks like a box that's going to be able to sit in other sales channels. So like you could sell this to Barnes & Noble, you could sell this to WH Smith or to toy stores and toy companies and have it stay in rotation for a long time. It's not seasonally driven, it's got classic warbands in it that they've brought back. Probably the nicest, some of the nicest miniatures I think they made, period. You get the Sepulchral Guard and you get Far Striders, sorry, which is the Ranger Stormcast box set. And actually, conveniently, the one I actually didn't have from first edition. It was actually the second, it was the second Stormcast one because Steel Hearts Champions came in the box set. And I never got my hands on these because they were late in the first release cycle. So I'm pumped. I actually gave the Sepulchral Guard from this box to Nick to paint up because he doesn't have them. And I already had them painted up from first edition. And I'm so glad these are back in the range because they are possibly, sorry, I gotta do this so you can get them in focus. They're possibly the nicest undead miniatures that I think Games Workshop's ever made. Certainly some of the nicest skeleton miniatures that Games Workshop has ever made. And they're just great fantasy miniatures. I painted them up way back in the original edition of this, and they get used all the time for other games and for RPGs and stuff. And the 7 of them are probably, I would say, if you're looking at like, if you're Games Workshop and you're like, this is what our fantasy miniature range looks like, this is a great selection of models. So I will go through the guard because I have the cards out already and I've kind of digested them just to give you an idea of like what's changed and what hasn't. For my overview, and again, I haven't dug deep into this yet, but for my sort of like overview of these, the stat cards look relatively unchanged. As far as like the core stats for everything, I didn't notice any like sweeping, glaring differences. The Warden looks pretty much the same stat-wise. His actions of like move or raise a guy. They added the raise counter thing to it, so that seems to be the same. Inspired, he does still go up to damage 3. His defensive stats stay the same. He is still incredibly important to the warband because you can't really, you need to be able to bring guys back because everyone's pretty easy to kill. Prince of Dust, still with knockback. They just gained their keywords and they've been kind of modernized. Still Cleave on the White Blade and the Champion. The Harvester still has Scything. So it just kind of updates and modernizes the card to the current edition and then ties them into their card deck. And your 3 Petitioners are all identical, right? Ancient Weapons, all do 1 damage. And then Inspires if somebody has a raise counter. So as soon as like you bring back one of your guys with an action, the rest of them inspire. And I think it is mostly different. They have a cohesive deck. The first edition decks for these guys included things like the universal cards like hold objective 1, hold objective 2, none of that in here. These are all like tied to and fairly coherent to the plot of the Sepulchral Guard. So you've got hold more objectives in the other warband, Land of the Dead, score this immediately after an opponent's activation step if your warband holds 2 or more objectives, and the value is greater than 6, so add 2 plus 4 maybe. March of the Dead, score an end phase if 5 or more friendly fighters each have a move or charge token, which you could do with the various actions you can take and all your ploys. They keep coming, score this immediately after. You give a friendly fighter a raise counter, and 1 or more friendly fighters each has 1 or more raise counters. So basically 2 people come back, you get these objectives. So what's great is they play into your action economy and the things you're trying to do anyway. Undying Watchman scores immediately after an opponent's activation if your warband holds 2 or more objectives and 1 or more is in enemy territory. Challenge Unanswered, scored on end phase. If there's more enemy fighters out of action than there are friendly fighters action, because you bring your guys back. So really easy against like 3-man warbands potentially. Invigorated Dead, scored on end phase if the number of surviving inspired friendly fighters is equal to or greater than the round number. So you've got, if you just inspire the 3 petitioners basically before round 3. Eternal Legionnaire, scored on end phase if 3 or more friendly fighters are in no one and or enemy territory. Retake What's Ours, score an end phase if your warband holds 3 or more objectives and 1 or more is in enemy or no end's territory. Skills Unforgotten, scores immediately after your leader's attack action that takes enemy fighter out of action. Grave Reprisal, score immediately after an activation step if a friendly fighter's attack action took an enemy fighter out of action and they had 1 or more raised counters. So if somebody comes back to life and kills somebody. And then Battle Without End, score immediately after an activation or power step in which you give a second or subsequent friendly fighter a raise counter in the same phase. So you're looking at like all of the actions that the Warden does anyway. You're going to score off these by giving out raise counters, by inspiring the models that inspire of having raise counters. Your whole thing is try to attrition your opponent while bringing your guys back to life, and you're going to score these cards. So again, a much more cohesive scoring mechanic than the older cards that came with this deck. So again, character cards pretty much the same. All the modern terminologies on here. Stat-wise, I didn't notice a lot of differences. I'm sure keener-eyed Underworlds players will, but I didn't. And then your ploys, again, are all about playing into the same stuff. So you've got Gambit Ploy, Worthless Chaff. Friendly petitioners don't have bounty, so your 3 petitioners don't give away glory, which is amazing. And it persists until the end of the round, or friendly petitioners taken into action. So just it basically lasts until the end of the round if you do it early. Startling Reformation. Play this after you give a friendly fighter a raise counter. Place that fighter in empty starting hex in enemy territory and give them a charge token. So you show up on the other half of the board, which is really cool. Ceaseless Attacks. Play this after an activation step in which a friendly fighter made 1 or more attack actions. Choose another friendly fighter. The chosen fighter can make an attack action. So have 2 guys go at once. No Undo Our Duty. Choose a friendly fighter with 1 or more move tokens. The chosen fighter makes a move action. So again, this is how you get to those multiple scoring move actions in a turn. This is Necromancer Commands. It's only on the Warden though. Reaction, play this during a friendly fighter's attack action after the defense roll. If the attack action would fail, and if that friendly fighter is not the Sepulchral Warden, the combat sequence ends and the attacker makes an attack action that must target the same enemy fighter. So basically you just go again. Restless Dead, choose a friendly fighter other than the Sepulchral Warden that's out of action. Place the chosen fighter on an empty starting hex in your territory and give them a raise counter and a charge token. So if your Warden's dead, you have a backup card for 1 more raise. Inexhaustible Warriors, +1 move to friendly fighters and it persists until the end of the round. You're not super fast, like you're only moving 2 or 3, so that's a really good thing. Bone Shrapnel, exploding skeletons. It's very like Army of Darkness. Reaction, play this during an, I should have made my Sepulchral Warden Baron von Badash. Play this during an enemy fighter's attack action that took an adjacent friendly fighter out of action. After the out of action check, deal damage to the enemy fighter, so you explode when you die. Terrifying Screams, choose an enemy fighter within 2 hexes and then push them a fighter 1 hex. Within 2 hexes of, 1 or more friendly fighters. And then push them a hex. A Pitiless Command, choose a friendly fighter with 1 or more raise counters and push them up to 2 hexes, so you got a way of speeding up again. For all those scoring mechanics where you're trying to get into your opponent's half of the table or on their objectives, or into objectives that are on the other half of the table. Familiar Face, the bounty for this fighter is spent glory. So basically when you get a bounty, it counts as being spent already. I love this upgrade. So you upgrade somebody, because they kill one of their friends, they're like, oh, I know you. The Warden's upgrade, the Warden's Command. Action, give this fighter 1 charge token and then choose 2 friendly fighters that are out of action. Place each chosen fighter in a different empty starting hex in your territory, then give them a raise counter. So you can bring back 2 guys instead of 1 now, if you just count as charging. No Vitals, -1 damage from attack actions that target this fighter to a minimum of 1, other than attack actions with Cleaver Knockback. Legacy of Dust, +1 damage to range 1 attack actions made by this friendly petitioners within 2 hexes of this fighter. And then if this fighter is within 2 hexes of friendly petitioner, they're supporting them. So this is a great upgrade for the Warden and the Prince, where you basically make all your petitioners damage 2 all of a sudden. Undying, +1 wound. Ancient Commander for the Warden. Choose up to 3 friendly fighters. They can make a move action as an action. So now you can move 3 guys at the same time. Upgrade Spark of Independence for your Petitioner. +1 wound, +1 dice their attack action. They can't be driven back, and after they're taken out of action, they break this card. So it goes away if you raise them back up again. But they just get like, I remember who I was. The Petitioner's Oath. Reaction uses after an activation step in which this fighter was taken out of action. You can do this even though this fighter's out of action. Place this fighter on an empty starting hex in your territory, then break this card. And give them a raise counter. +2 speed. Or move rather, and then deathly charge for the champion. +1 damage to your range 1 and 2 attack actions while you have 1 or more charge tokens. So if you're like the last guy left and you have a charge token, you're still able to attack for some reason, then you get extra damage because you're a really good fighter. So you can see the deck is way more cohesive than it used to be, obviously using the first edition cards. It feels like a Rivals deck now, and I'm really excited about what this could mean. I'm going to go through the Farstriders deck. I haven't really gone through yet, so I can't really comment on it, but I want to do one of the two at least, especially for the one I was about to play because it's already painted. To give you an idea of what this box is trying to do. It's trying to be, I think, a box that can stay around for a while. Underworlds needs, I think, something that can go out into like the greater retail chain and be around for a while so that the game can kind of marinate. It's great to have new things all the time for Underworlds, but new things only matter if you have something that is out there kind of waving the flags for Underworlds. And so the fact that this is entitled 2-player starter set, and it's kind of like, it's one, it's bringing back older warbands, and 2, it's sort of like more sort of generally, this is what Age of Sigmar is. This is like this is the Warhammer universe. This is what this game is trying to be about. It's trying to be about a competitive like game. This is what the Rivals decks are for. It doesn't have universal stuff in here to confuse you. It's just 2 decks ready to play. I really hope that's what this is trying to do, because I think Underworlds needs that. Underworlds needs one of 2 things. It either needs something that's going to stay around in the market for a while so that independent stockists and players can be like, oh, I know that game, and this stays around for like just a year or 2. Like, it doesn't need to be around for a long time. It doesn't need like a full 4-year, 40K life cycle. It needs to stay around long enough that people can like see this as a brand and know what the box that it comes in looks like. Like, it has to marinate for a while for people to be excited about all the new releases. It either needs that, or it needs to just be completely reskinned for 40K. And then I think it would sell like hotcakes. I think you could use every mechanic from this game and create like a Space Hulk style arena battler game with really cool bespoke 40K miniatures, and it would sell like hotcakes, and it wouldn't, all of the like pandemic slump I think that Warhammer Underworlds being like a social game and being like a play in the bar game kind of suffered from would just like go away. So I'm hoping this box set does that. I'm really hoping if you haven't given Underworlds a try and you're looking for a game that you can play with either of your kids or younger hobbyists, or you want to do in your hobby shop but you don't have a lot of gaming space, this is a great tabletop, easy to play, passes the Christmas morning test, right? You just rip and go kind of product. And this seems to be geared towards trying to do that. So I really am, I'm encouraged to see this product out there as opposed to like just endless like new seasons and new editions. Cause I want there to be something that's like an approachable, teachable Warhammer Underworlds box. Cause I really like the game. And I think it fulfills a unique niche of like not being a giant pasta dinner. It's just an appetizer style game where you get to paint a bunch of unique, cool, different warbands and then play in the Warhammer universe. And I think that this is something that isn't currently super prevalent in the Games Workshop product line. So yeah, so I'm excited to see this box set. It's a game in a box. Everything you need to play, and it looks like a pretty cool standard bearer for the Underworlds product line for at least a little bit. I'm hoping it sticks around. So there it is, a GMG review of the new Underworlds 2-player starter set. We'll see you for more Underworlds in the future. Thought I'm Ash. Have a good gaming. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements, like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster.
As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.